escalation ladder is moving up. And what we have to understand is that, war starts in the minds of men. That is what the UNESCO Charter said. Charter published after the end of the Second World War. Similarly, peace also starts in the minds of men. Now, in this particular case, it is in the mind of a man called Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has this escalation. Well, sort of a war now has started. Why? A, he is finding himself facing serious political difficulties. There was a move to dissolve the current Knesset, that is their parliament, and to have fresh election, which he might have lost. There are other problems, like the extreme right religious students. Now they have to do military service. Now some of the parties supporting Netanyahu, without whose support he cannot politically survive, they are upset. And also, Netanyahu has been wanting to fight Iran for a long time. In 2015, he ordered the Israeli military to strike at Iran, and the military chief refused. He said, you have to have a cabinet decision. You can't make a personal order. So he is keen on having a war for reasons which I have explained. Now, Iran is in a very difficult situation because Israel struck, and as you know, a lot of damage has been caused. Senior military officers, including the top, have been killed. Scientists have been killed. Now, obviously, Mossad, Israeli intelligence agency, has penetrated Iran. I mean, they know the whereabouts of these people, which you cannot know from the satellite. You know what I mean? So that is also there. And Iran has now started to retaliate. And as you said, one woman, and you said 24, but I think Israel itself has said 40, have been injured. And then you see the sirens ringing at early in the morning. That means you can't sleep. You have to go to the shelters. Schools have been closed and things like that. Now the question is, how long can this continue? Netanyahu says it will continue as long as necessary. But there are indications that Israelis are getting a little tired of what Netanyahu is doing. And while it is true that Israel can cause infinitely more damage to Iran than Iran can cause to Israel, but nevertheless, if you can't sleep, if your children are not going to school, if your shops are shut, well, that is tough. So, there is need for sanity to come back. But will it come back soon? I do not know. I doubt it. And the man who can do that, that is President Trump. But he doesn't seem to be too keen on it. Because if you see, initially when Israel struck, the Secretary of State said, well, we were not involved in it. Well, one has to take that statement with a pinch of salt, because later Trump said, oh, excellent results. So Netanyahu had the green light, or at least the yellow light from Trump. So let us see.
Trump role, but US helping intercept Iranian missiles aimed at Israel. The US military assisted Israel in intercepting Iranian missiles launched in retaliation for Israel's strike. US official confirmed involvement but gave no details on the assets used in the operation.
Well, we know the assets, that is ships, U.S. naval vessels in the area. They are doing it. It's generally known. Now, despite that, some of the missiles or drones landed in Israel, which means there is no foolproof iron dome that can intercept 100%. You know what I mean? It's not mathematically certain. So some missiles or drones will come through and they will do damage.
Israel-Iran strike. US President Donald Trump confirmed US had previous knowledge of Israel-Iran strikes, praised the operation, urged diplomacy, and reaffirmed strong US-Israel ties despite rising regional tension and Iranian retaliation.
Well, I'm afraid President Trump is what I may call a charade, a farce. He's neither serious nor sincere. Because if he wanted the negotiations due tomorrow, Sunday, in Oman to succeed, then he should have told Netanyahu not to strike. Now, if President Trump thinks that, because of Israeli strikes, Iran will be so frightened that they will come and kneel before him, well, he has got it wrong. If he thinks he is a master of deal making, well, think again.
Received a phone call from PM Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel. He briefed me on the evolving situation. I shared India's concern and emphasized the need for early restoration of peace and stability in the region.
Well, India has good reasons to be concerned, and what the Prime Minister said is absolutely appropriate. Well, we have 10,000 Indian citizens in Iran. We have 25,000 Indian citizens in Israel. And if you are looking at the region, we have 9 million, 90 lakhs Indians in the GCC. Now, you know that airspace is closed. So, our people will suffer. But above all, India's policy is to promote conflict resolution, to prevent the starting of a war, or if it has started, to end it as soon as possible. That is why Prime Minister spoke, highlighting India's principled foreign policy. Despite the close relations we have with Israel, as Israel helps us in many ways, including defense equipment. But despite all that, Prime Minister put out India's position with clarity.